Okay, today I'm going to talk about vision. So these people are pretty far away from me. They're off in the farmland and I can make them out. They're a little blurry to me because I don't have the best vision, but I can still see that they're people. Horses can see off in the distance, but their eyes are attracted to motion. So they'll see motion, but they won't make out details. Like I can tell that's a person, you know, because my vision's good enough that I can make out that detail. So now I'm going to back it up. Okay. So what the horse sees is they see motion out there. Now maybe you can't see it that well, but that's similar to the horse. They see motion and they can't make out the details because their instincts tell them when there's motion, it's moving quick and you can't make it out. Get out of there, because that's how you survive. So what I can see, you know, that's over, I don't know, a couple 100 feet or more away. I can make it out that it's people even though it's a little bit blurry and it's far away. The horse won't be able to really tell what that is until they get like about 20 feet from it, and then they can tell that, oh, it's a person. That's why they freak out when they see other horses if they're far away and they're moving quick, because they can't tell what they are. Now horses see color different than we do, so they don't see the difference between red and green. They're colorblind, so they see shades, but that guy in the red there would look similar to if somebody had green on. And if they have green on and they're in a green field, what do you think they see? They really can't see much at all. They just see motion. So if a biker or somebody is, you know, shooting through the trees, they won't be able to make out it's a person. They just see a green bush moving, and so they think there's a predator in it, and that's why they freak out. And then you have to remember, this is how far away it's going to look to the horse. So until they get way up close, they won't be able to make out that it's a person. Now each horse has its different temperament and instincts, different amounts of flight. So some horses won't be worried even if they can't see what it is, and other horses will. And then some horses are extra spooky, and I tell people, check their vision, because sometimes they have cataracts and so they can't see. What they're seeing more, you know, is something like, something like that, where it's kind of in and out of view. And then the horse has to move its head up, down, and to the side to actually help them focus. Where we can just, you know, we see something far away and then we stare straight at it and then we go, oh, it's a person, it's focused. The horse can't do that. So the horse will see this, they can't tell what it is, so they move their head up because they can see distance far away more if their head's up, or they might move it down, or they might move it side to side, and their depth is different. So what they're trying to do is actually see what it is. That's why it always looks like their head goes up and their eyes are popping out of their head, because they're trying to really see what it is. Then if they're not sure, they'll do something like this and they'll snort. But they'll sound like a horse, not like I did, like a pig. They'll snort because what they're trying to do is get a whiff of what that is. Is that a person or that's a predator? Because they smell a little bit different. But remember, people are predators. People do eat horses, so you got to know that too. So that's why they can be also scared of people. So when you're having issues with your horse, or your horse is fine and all of a sudden he spooks at a bike or something, remember, it's usually their vision. They can't see something, and then they're attracted more to motion. So if somebody starts moving over there, I might not pay attention to it, but the horse will notice that immediately, that something is moving over there. And then also remember, if they have a cataract, their vision's going to kind of go in and out, you know, when they're looking around, because something's kind of blocking their vision. So if they're seeing something like this, they're like, what the heck is that? They can't tell. And if you won't let them move their head around, well, then they can't see as well, because they're trying to get it in their, you know, in their vision. So that's when I was riding that one trail horse and I let it turn around, because there was a guy in the bush and he had a red shirt on, and I let the horse actually turn backwards, because she's not a spooky horse, but she couldn't figure out what it was. And as soon as she turned backwards, she could see it out of a different part of her eye. She saw it was a person and she goes, oh, I'm fine. She turned herself, we turned back around, and then off we went, and she was fine. But I let her look, and that's the problem with trailer loading too, is it's dark inside, so they can't see. So just remember, they have to move their head to see what something is. If they're real spooky, just jump off and hold them and let them look, because that way you won't get hurt if you're on the ground. And just realize they're attracted to motion. So if you're in the woods, like if you're in the woods up there, you know, and it's dark and something goes shooting through the woods, either a bird or a deer, the horse doesn't know what it is because it can't focus, and all it sees is the movement. So then it goes on its flight risk, like how flighty is that horse. And you, if they do spook, you want to stop, turn around. If you can, go back up to the object, show them it was a bird or what it was. Unless it's a mountain lion, then get out of there. But otherwise, you want to show them, because if they spook at stuff, even though it might be their vision or their confidence level, they're showing you what they think they should do, which is right for the horse. But since we're on their back, we don't want them to do that because we don't want to fall off. So when they spook, we want to stop and then show it to them. But realize, even though you can see a bike and it might be like 60 feet away from you, the horse can't tell it's a bike until it's about 20 feet away from you. And that's a horse with pretty decent vision. Some will have more, or they'll have better vision, like 20, 30, so they can see the object at 30 feet. But many horses have worse vision, and they're not going to see it till 10 or 15 feet. So when you have a horse that's fine with bikes when it's out in the open, but when they shoot through the woods, it is freaking out, that means that horse cannot see it. And remember, if somebody comes shooting through the woods and they have a different color on, like a white shirt, the horse is going to be able to see that better. If they have red or green on, they're not going to be able to see that well. So that can be a real reason why you're having problems with your horse. And your job is to help them, not scare them more, but to help them get over those things and realize when you see something far away, shorten your reins up, get ready to help them see what it is, and realize they're going to move their head up and down and they might want to run away. You want to kind of keep their feet busy if you can, because that makes them feel more comfortable, but then let them move their head so they can see what the object is. Okay, now remember, the horse's eyes are on the side of its head, so this is what we see. We see straight ahead. So now I'm going to block part of that with my hand, okay? So see how it's blurry? That's more how your horse sees. It doesn't see fine details. So you can see that horse's butt, but if you didn't know what you were looking at to start, if I didn't show you that to start, you might not know. So again, the horse can see more behind us, but it's not going to see straight ahead. So to see that, the horse has to turn its head, right? So he has to turn its head and then he can make it out. But if it's standing still, especially if it's against something red, he might not be able to make it out very well. So he might move his head up and he might move his head down. And what he's trying to do is see what that is. So he sees that with his, say he sees that with his left eye. So now I'm going to switch to the right eye. Okay. So now I'm going to block part of the vision on this side. So now this is what the horse is seeing, is just its head. So again, it has to turn its head to actually see the whole body of that horse. And again, you can see when the phone focuses on my hand, that horse is blurry behind. So that's more what the horse is going to see. It's going to see the image, but as far as we've been educated on, we've been told that the horse sees something blurry like that and not fine details, which we see. So that's why we see something, we see a bike coming, we think the horse sees it, but it's not paying attention or not focusing on that direction. So they don't see it, and then the bike all of a sudden is in front of you, and then the horse finally sees it and spooks. And this is a big problem with people because they always think the horse sees the same as we do. They do not. They see totally different than we do. So you have to realize that when you're up on their back, that even though you see something coming, you see it's a bike, you see it's a person, they don't. So that's why I always, when I'm riding, I yell out to the people. I say, please just, talk. If they don't talk, I'll start a conversation. That's why you always hear me talking on the trail rides. But if they won't talk to me, I ask them, will you please talk so my horse knows you're a person? Especially if they're leaning against a tree or they're behind something, they're really not going to see it. So you want to be aware of that. And when you see something, if you don't know that horse well and know it has a really low flight risk and it's, more bomb proof, you want to shorten those reins up enough that your hands are in front of the pommel. Keep your hands wide, and sit straight up or lean back a little bit. So if that horse does spook or spin, you don't fall off. And that way you're ready for the spook. And remember, if they spin to the left, you try to pull right. If they spin to the right, you try to pull left. And the horse is going to spin, usually trying to go back towards home, just so you know. And if there's a hill, it'll usually try to spin the easier way for the horse. So that way you can see, oh, a bike's coming, I'm on this track, and you know, I see which way that horse might spin, so I'm going to be ready with the opposite rein. And that way, instead of the horse spinning, it might spook to the side, but then you stop it, you talk to the person, the horse realizes it's a bike, it's okay, and then they go by. So again, if you're going to ride horses, you have to know more than just how to ride. You have to know something about horses, how they see, and how they evaluate things to keep yourself safe. If you're not going to do those things, then you really do want to get an older, non-spooky, bomb-proof horse that is not going to care about anything. And that way you can just sit up there. But otherwise, most of these animals you cannot be a passenger on. You need to be a rider, and you need to be aware of how they see, how they react to things. And you want to prepare yourself and try as much as you can to be ready and do defensive maneuvers. That's why it's helpful to know how to do a turn on the haunches, turn on the forehand, side pass, leg yield. All those things will help you if your horse starts spooking or moving around, especially if you're on, you know, a scary trail. You don't want them to go off the side of the trail. So now I want to show you these horses, which you saw him standing like this, but you probably didn't know why, because he is watching the workers over there. So now somebody's out there with a blue shirt. See how we can't see him that well? Well, imagine what the horse can't see. But that white one sticks out. You can see that person pretty well. And the same thing, there's people behind the tree over there, but you can't see them that well, right? But again, we can see the difference between the red, the white, and the blue. Unless you're colorblind, then you probably can't. And that green against the red is very difficult for a horse to see, because they don't see the difference between that green and the red. Now look at the horse over here. Where'd he go? So if you look, you'll see both the horses have their heads up. They have their ears focused over on those people, because that's what they're looking at. So the horse will tell you what they're looking at if you pay attention. The difference is if you're on their back and they can't see, like if I was on this horse, he might turn his head to the left, and that doesn't mean he's looking to the left. See? Oh, he did it just on cue. But that would mean he was looking out of his right eye at those things if he turned his head to the left. And he actually just spun around. He turned his, I guess I should have kept the camera there. He turned his head to the left, and then he spun himself around. What that does, he wasn't running away. He's in his paddock. He's got nowhere to go. But it helps him to see the objects out of a different part of his eye. So, you know, you got to be a good enough rider that if you think the horse can't see, you let him turn around and see it from behind them. Because some of the horses, that helps a lot. But some horses, they're not looking, they're looking to escape. And that's what you have to figure out the difference. Is my horse trying to run away and he's going to take off if I let him turn around? Or he's not really a spooky horse, and I think he wants to turn around to see. So you can turn him around and then hold him there. Of course, if they try to go towards home, you turn them back around and don't let them do it again. But see, now he's got his head up higher. It's because now there's more people over there. Okay, so he's trying to focus on what's going on over there. And again, that's about how I'm looking at it. So that's how the horse is looking at it too. It's very far away for them. And so again, they see movement, they see white things moving, but they can't always tell if those are people, aliens, monsters. Okay, I just want to show you another example of vision. So see all that green up there? It's different shades of green, but it's all green. So that's more similar how the horse is going to see. And then if we go over here, see, there's red over there. Again, the horse won't see the red, but see how there's different shades of red? That's more how they're going to see versus how we see a big difference. You know, we can see, oh, there's a horse over there with a blue blanket on. It's a black horse. They're going to see more shades of stuff and not such bright colors unless it's white, like this horse over here, which is gray. You'll see a lot of horses in the beginning, if they haven't grown up with white horses or gray horses, they'll see one and they'll freak out because it sticks out so much. You know, it's such a different color to them compared to the other things. So just remember, horses see more in shades and not such bright colors. and they don't see red and green very different. So the horse did see different shades of that red, but it'd blend more with the green, just like this does. Okay. Help your horses realize what they're doing. Stay safe.